Hey, get that thing.
What the hell, bro?
Yeah, what's going on here? Pulling the Thread podcast 87.
84? What is it? 84? 84?
Can you super glue this chair so that it never moves? Sometimes it's an eighth of an inch high, and sometimes it's a 16th of an inch too low.
Can you do? I really just want you to do something with this. I totally hate that. Why can't this be plugged in behind me so it's never?
You can leave it like that.
Well, Lyric Supreme.
Wait,
Lyric Supreme has a microphone available.
There we go. Perfect. Look at that. Now
it's like one of those old time mics. Why don't we get that?
Well, because if you put a condenser mic right here, it'll pick up even this like crazy. Like if I just move my shorts, it'll go.
Can we get a?
I mean, if you didn't get a goddamn Chesney tracksuit, cut the fucking pants legs off.
Can we get a? Can we get one of those mics that's one of those mics that has the dude attached to it that lowers it into the frame and shit?
We can do that.
Who is that? Is that a gaffer?
That would be a boom operator.
A grip.
Boom operator. Yeah, we need a boom operator in here.
Are things hard at home?
Hard.
Do you need some assistance? Do you need some? You need me to get you some real pants or something? Why are you wearing those?
Because he's showing off his legs. Look.
Nice legs.
Man, you have all that. You have all that meat on. Let me tattoo the inside of your leg.
You do have a. You know what? You do.
We got all the way from the kneecap to the ball sack.
Yeah.
You do have a surprising amount of bare skin.
Right here.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's a big chunk right there. Why not? What are you gonna put there?
What's your favorite tattoo?
Yeah. What is your favorite tattoo? What's number one?
Is your ball sack tattooed?
No. Brandon has his wiener tattooed.
Is your butt tattooed? Why does Brandon have his penis tattooed?
I don't know.
What is it?
What is it?
I don't know.
Why don't
Come on, bullshit. No dude tells you they got their dick tattooed and you haven't seen it.
I can't remember what it is.
It's a dick, isn't it?
He'll be here in a minute.
It's a dick, right? He tattooed a dick on his dick.
Did he do it himself?
That I don't know. We'll have to figure that out.
Yeah, I need to hear that story.
Yeah.
So.
Were you there when Curtis got his done?
I mean, I was in the building. I mean,
you didn't see it?
No, again, I know everybody was excited to see Curtis's dick get tattooed, and Pigman's asshole get tattooed, but
you didn't see any of it.
None of it,
dude. We had to load it. That video was so long. We had to load 4 episodes, and then YouTube took all but one down. That's our highest rated video still every month. Is the butthole tattoo?
Kraken?
The butthole and the Hublot. Buying the Hublot is number 2, and like they pulled 3 of the episodes off YouTube, and we have a SOE Pornhub channel just to host those stupid things.
I wonder what kind of likes have you looked at the Pornhub channel to see what
I've never even been able to find it. So I've looked for it a couple times. I'm sure somebody knows where it's at.
Yeah. No, but I didn't
I still have that stencil from Curtis's. I have the stencil sitting in my desk drawer.
What do you get on it?
Combat cock.
On his cock.
Like the one on my fucking shoulder. What episode is this really?
84. Oh.
85?
85.
Pulling the Thread podcast, episode 85. Are you aware of any current events that are going on in the world right now?
I mean, there's a lot of cat eating, a lot of swan killing, a lot of
kitty cats, bald eagle. They killed a bald eagle. Where are they getting all these guns from?
That's such a high crime. Bald eagle.
They actually arrested that guy.
They have to.
They've been arresting quite a few of them.
I am sure they are actually arresting them.
Like the cops showing up to arrest the people over the cats and dogs. The cops actually seem angry over it. Like I feel like they probably have some pets at home themselves. Well, there's little children in the background crying, and they're like, "Why? Why? Get in the car. Get in the car. You're under arrest."
I don't.
And they're arresting these like seemingly migrant women, and the women seem very surprised that they're in trouble for this.
I'm okay. If you think about some of the places these people like in me, it immediately pops in my head. I think of Venezuela.
Complete shithole.
Well, Venezuela completely went so rogue so fast that in the reality is there were people in Venezuela who were eating pets. Or not pets.
There were no more pets.
They were eating cats and dogs and all that shit because they were starving.
It's like the great...
But I mean, you think about it. If you're in Venezuela and you've been munching on cats for the last 6 months and then you march all the way up to the United States, and they put you in some town that you're totally unfamiliar with, and you're like, wonder what's for dinner, and there's cats running around, you're going to be like,
yeah.
You're not going to think that it's illegal.
So I listened to, Bet David had a dude on from the UK talking about migration problems around the world. And he had some very interesting things to say. But one of the takeaways, like I think Bet David, the way he was going was like, is there a cabal? Is there the establishment? And I think he was heading towards, your friends that wear the little hats and shit. And this dude, he's like, no, I don't think so. He said, I think that it's just how things are. I don't think there's a hand manipulating things. He's like, if there is, why do they do such a bad job at it? Kind of the shit you say. But his take was, he goes, I've been to the poorest towns in South Africa and all over the world. And he goes, no matter where you are, the poorest people have a device in their hand. And they are aware of how things are in other countries now. So you have these people that even living high status in their area of low class or, poverty, they know that they can come to the United States and be homeless and live better than they do in their countries. So, and they hear the borders open. So why would they not come here? He's like, I don't think it's by manipulation necessarily. But he did say, he said Germany has no idea how many, or at least the citizenship, there is no criminal database compiling these crimes committed by the migrants. He's like, they so much don't catalog them that when they book them in, they use a first name and first last name initial. They don't even use a name, so that the citizenship has no idea how many have come in, what crimes are being committed. He said, if we really want to look at it, let's look at rapes in Switzerland. He said, in a 12-month period, they've doubled. They've gone from 16, they didn't double, but they went from 16,000 to 24,000. But there's no information on who is committing these crimes. He said, because if it's the original population and they've just decided we're going to be super rapey, then we obviously have a problem.
He said demonetized like 9 times. Right?
Well, we probably got it pulled down. It's not even demonetized. I mean, we're never monetized. But he said, that's a big problem. He goes, but there's something else there that in that 12 months that goes right along with that. We know what the answer is.
Okay. I'm going to go opposite with you. I'm normally the governments are incompetent and fucking incapable of doing anything good for their countries. But I think there is a certain cabal of individuals very wealthy that want to go back to fiefdoms. They really want to go back to a class system where they are the ruling class and everybody else eats fucking grog, right? And what they are doing is they are grooming and putting people into power that are so ineffective, that have similar ideas. So if you take a look at like the Prime Minister of Germany, the Prime Minister of England, and you take a look at these people that have created this migration catastrophe. Mm-hmm. They all have similar views of the world, right? They all have similar views of the world because they've been groomed to a certain extent. No different than the a-hole who used to be running Canada.
Who?
What's his name? Macron or
Trudeau?
Trudeau's
still running Canada.
No, I think he's done. I think he just got. I don't know. Look that up.
Think so.
Somebody just got canned.
You're thinking Macron in France.
Oh yeah, it was France.
Who actually lost and then took it back somehow. Yeah. They combined the Communist Party.
They have these similar ideas, and these ideas that they have are these ideas that they have only support the uber rich. They don't support anybody else. And so I think really you could say that there is a cabal that is secretly pulling the fucking strings all over the world, because
where does the head of that snake reside?
You cannot. If you had let's say, we'll take a look at America, right? We've always had a border problem in the United States.
Yeah, they talked about as far back as Reagan.
We've always had a border problem in the United States. Now, if there wasn't a migration problem everywhere else in the world, you could say it was government incompetency. But when you have the same problem everywhere in the world, except for countries who actually stand up for their citizens,
Poland.
like Poland.
The dude from Poland was here campaigning for Trump for the last 12 weeks.
I didn't know that.
Yes.
So
in the United States.
Except for where they stand up for their... So, again, that has to be a mutual thing, because a lot of places where, if you think about it, a lot of places where they're having these problems, you've got to fucking bus in those migrants. Like you think about Germany, right?
Yeah, how'd they get there?
They have to go through a bunch of other countries before they get to Germany.
Yeah, just because they tore down that wall, those fucking checkpoints are still there.
They have to go through a bunch of countries before they get to Germany. So, I would say that there is an Uber class. You know, when we used to talk about the Rockefellers and people like that. I think there is an Uber class of rich people in the world who believe that they are better than... You know what? I'll use Bill Gates as an example. Who believes he's better than everybody else, and that everybody else should eat fucking crickets while he eats steak. And part of that is in order for you to create a fiefdom, you've got to destabilize the government to the point where it is no longer viable. And I think that's what they're trying to do.
Well, you said that to have one world governance, you have to get rid of the United States.
Well, no, you have to the one world governance thing is, unfortunately, it is the United States. Right, we make more millionaires than anywhere in the world,
which means nothing anymore. Now,
well, it doesn't mean nothing anymore, but it's billionaires even still, right? And so we have these people who, it's almost interesting. We have a class of individuals in the United States that survive off of capitalism, but want communism
because they're already like made men.
Yeah,
they've already come up, they've built everything, and now their money makes so much money they don't have to fucking actually work any longer.
So it's kind of an interesting quagmire that we're in.
I saw there's a guy that he does luxury good videos. He walks up to people that have, you know, very expensive cars and stuff, and he's like, "Hey, can I ask you what you do for a living?" And I don't know where he was, but some of the Rothschilds were there. Mm-hmm. And he walked up to this, he was someplace where they walked out of a building, and he commented on this lady's watch, and I don't remember what it was. It's very rare though, and he recognized it and complimented it, and she kind of snubbed her nose, and you know. But you look at these people, because you always hear they're inbred. They literally look just like the Simpsons. Like that whole family, those 3 people that had walked out of that building there. I think they were in Switzerland or somewhere. They looked like Mr. Burns. Like they just had that face and that no jawline, long nose. They literally looked like the Simpsons had drawn these people. And I just thought it odd. I saw it 6 months ago, but that's always stayed in my head, how similar the Simpson is to real life.
That's the problem. I mean, I don't want to say it's a problem with generational
The
wealth.
mudbloods.
I don't want to say it's a problem with generational wealth, because there are plenty of people that pass on generational wealth where their children are not fucking turd burglars. But the reality is, you know, usually the kingdom is never passed on to a good king. It's always a shithead, because he's lived that life of privilege. And if they've lived it long enough and used the money, you know, if they've lived it long enough and used the money to excess, then they will never have a fucking touch with reality, and they will always look down at, you know, whoever, right? They don't. It's like a.
So is that the children's fault, or is that the parents' fault?
I mean, well, it's always the parents' fault, right? It's always the parents' fault to how your children end up.
So why do we do that?
Why do we do it? Because we want to create an environment for our children that was better than the environment we had, even though
the environment we had wasn't very bad.
The environment, even though the environment I'll use Elon Musk as an example. If you're Elon Musk, the environment that you were created in, it may not have been the best environment, meaning you may not have had the best parents or the best dad or best social structure, but that's the environment that created you, that created the wealth, right?
Yep.
And
because it's only made under pressure.
You know, I say this all the time. The best car I've ever owned was that Datsun B210
with no air conditioning. And
part of the reason why that was the best car that I've ever owned is because, you know, my mom was like, "I ain't got no fucking money. You want that car? You're gonna have to work and buy that car." And then when I had the money to buy the car, she was like, "You ain't buying that car until you have She's like, "You're not buying that car until you have the money necessary to pay insurance every month on that car."
Do you think you would love that car now?
I think I would. Yeah, I think I would. I think
you'd have rolled up here today in it.
Probably, yeah.
No fucking way.
Yeah, I probably would.
Man, I look at that, like I shop every now and then. Once a year, I start looking for
I was looking at Datsun V210s just a couple days ago.
I look for a Honda XL 175 every now and then, and I'm like, I find one. I should have bought it. I found one just like mine. Most of mine was red and black, whereas most of them are orange and black. And I find like 250s and stuff with the dual shock, they still look the same. But I found one for $2,800. I should have bought it, man. It was like, it looked brand new, like it had never been on the road at all. And there's not a lot of them. But I look at it now and I'm like, it's going to be like that Suburban sitting out there, right? I've got the Suburban. It's the last square body. It's got all the air conditioning, the heat, everything. But no matter what you do to it, it's still a 1991 windshield wipers, 1990. So you're like, oh, I could upgrade it. Okay, so you upgrade it now. And now it doesn't work, you know, so we're going to build these old vehicles for the EMP, right? But then we upgrade them with a brand new motor and all LS motor or whatever. I guess you better still have the fucking the manifold and the plenum and some carburetors to put back on there and shit. But I find all these, you see such cool vehicles, but you know they're not really what they are, right? Guys are building up like 1968 fastbacks and 70 Mach 1s and stuff. But the only thing there is the body. None of that other shit is that car.
You know, the reality is even the Datsun V210.
They redo the suspension and everything.
Even my car. It would be a nostalgic trip more than anything. Meaning, you know, again, yeah, we rolled down the windows and hung our arms out the windows in the wintertime because you were cool if you had your arm hanging out the window. But I would drive it. I know I would drive it just from the mere fact of I get in the Unimog. I get in the goddamn Unimog and fire it up and just drive circles on John's property because I just love the way it works. And again, that motherfucker is 9 million degrees in the summertime. You got to roll the window down and shit. And it's you know, it's an old military truck, but I still love driving that thing around and just.
Do you ever go to the Piggly Wiggly, try to pick up chicks?
In the Unimog? Yeah. No, cause I didn't, you know, I did the Jack Garland. Jack told me, he's like, when I moved it on the road, he's like, fuck, it's a tractor. Just put a triangle on it and drive it, you know, just drive it where you need to go.
Yeah, so, you could, for people that don't know, you can stop traffic for 100 miles here. Just because they do all the time, man.
And so I got the orange triangle and put it on the back of it and just drove it over to John's. I know I could get a low-speed license plate for it, but I just haven't done it.
Yeah, I've got them on the razors.
Yeah, I haven't done it. So, but I haven't gone to the Piggly Wiggly. It's because the problem is it's.
Do you even have a Piggly Wiggly?
No, it's too dangerous.
Yeah,
it's just too, because you got bucket out in front, and
I really want.
I get it up to 25 miles an hour, and it's like you're in the space shuttle. You're just like
you're on re-entry. Yeah.
Oh shit. So
yeah, like the Millennium Falcon spool.
I don't. You know, I see. There's videos of those guys driving those things like at speed at like 45 miles an hour and shit. And I don't know how they did it.
I sent you some YouTube videos of some kids that these dudes bought that tractor you have, and then they took all the shit off and went out to some off-road parks, off-roading it and stuff.
Yeah.
I really, like, I look at them every night. I look at all the military, you know, vehicle sites, and I'm like, man, that one's cool, but I'm like, it'll just be something sitting out here. At least those tires won't dry rot and lose hair. I mean, but it'd just be another thing.
And my Unimog is, what, 4 inches taller than it's supposed to be?
Yeah.
Because I had to get MRAP tires.
Yeah, which is probably better.
It is. I mean, they're...
more available.
I think I want to say that I'm sure you fucking Unimog guys, I'm going to get this wrong, but I think the original tires were 12 ply, and the MRAP tires are like 25 ply.
I'll bet you could shoot them with small arms and it wouldn't pop them.
I don't know. They're pretty beefy tires.
22, 22 wouldn't go through it. I bet. Like a 22 long rifle. I bet you couldn't
pop
them.
But I'm not shooting my.
I had some
tires.
I had some Humvee wheels. There was a company, I don't remember where they were. So they recentered them and put the lug pattern for the 8 lug for my Ford truck, my F-250. So then I could get Humvee tires So I got the wheels and had the tires. We could mount the tires up. So we were running 37s on those things because I was getting the tires super inexpensive. And the wheel set that was on there didn't have a lip, or it was a 16. It was something weird, right? So this was the best way to go to be able to put these, because I was getting all these surplus tires. But you'd put these surplus tires on there, and the wheels wouldn't really balance.
Yeah.
So they're like, oh, you got to put these balls inside them, or the other guys were like, fill them with water, and when it gets at speed, it kind of balances. Other guys were like, fill them with airsoft BBs. So you could go down the road at 60 miles an hour, but when you got to like 65, it would shake. But then at 70, it would kind of smooth out. So we would drive to Nashville in this fucking truck every weekend. And like every 12 months, probably, it needed tie rods and a pitman arm. Like, it was just destroying the steering system in this truck. And it was so bad, finally, I went in and just bought a set of wheels and tires at Four Wheel Parts Wholesale, so I didn't have to mess. There's probably 12, 16 of them still sitting out there.
On rims and everything.
Yeah, all mounted up. Like, one day I'll get a Humvee and use them on there or something, but...
Can you?
I don't know.
Because didn't you have to change the rims?
Well, I have a bunch of them on Humvee wheels that have the magnesium run flats in them. I was just looking up Humvee tire, I think is what I was putting, or whatever, BF Goodrich or whatever it was. And they were all over Craigslist. Yeah. So we'd drive out, like, I would just go and find some dude said he had some tires. So we'd drive to his barn or whatever. You'd open it up and it's like a whole damn motor pool in there. It's like, well, you never asked. I mean, like, they were dermoing them or wherever they came from. But when you find the dude with a Humvee tire, he's got 40 or 50 of them, you know? Yeah, that's how it always was.
That's the way it always is.
I'm like, how much if I buy 20 of them? So I'd buy, 12 of them or whatever. And I'm like, these won't fit in the trailer. I'll pay you for the 12. You just I'll just take the 10. It was cheaper to just abandon them,
Yeah. That's fucking awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But those, like, military vehicle dudes they're a different kind of person, man.
Well, you gotta love the dude. You gotta love the vehicle.
Yeah, no, I like the dudes. I mean, they're very.
But I'm saying you gotta love the vehicle, because the vehicle's always going to be a little quirky. Like, when you think about Old Boy Next Door, right? He's
selling that.
It's
anybody wants a all black 5-ton, man. It's clean too.
It's got a little. You got to do a little, like, his is a little different in the sense that you got to do a couple of things, secret buttons and shit to get it to start. But you just have to like the quirkiness of it, because like even the Unimog. When I first started playing with the Unimog, there was some shit that I could not figure out. Like, I couldn't figure out how it worked. And I'm like, how the fuck is this work? And and in my head I was thinking, and I love doing this with military vehicles. I'm like, okay, when you think about any vehicle in service, the person who does the maintenance on those vehicles, F-18, jump jet, it doesn't matter what it is. It's 18 years old. He's just out of high school.
You're overthinking it.
Yeah, you're always overthinking it. So I always, in my head, I always have to go, okay, I know.
Lower ASVAB score.
I know that there's just a Lance Corporal. It's a bullshit Lance Corporal. I'm trying to figure out how to fucking fire up the space shuttle, and it's just a Lance Corporal. Hey, all you have to do is go boop, boop, and it works. And literally, for the longest time, I was trying to figure out this thing, and then Leo's like, oh, no, it's a Lance Corporal thing. You just go boop, boop, and it worked. And I was like, oh, shit. How did you know that? He goes, oh, we had one of these. I'm like, you asshole.
Why didn't you just look it up on YouTube, man?
Because I did look it up on YouTube. And nobody, when it came to the thing that I was trying to figure out, everybody skipped it. Like,
you need to make a video of that and put it
everybody just skipped it and went to something else.
Because if you're looking for it, there's hundreds of other dudes. That'll be your most viewed video.
I know. I could do hours on the Unimog, but
you should. You should start a playlist on your channel.
And the other thing is,
you don't even have to edit it. Just fucking put it up in short videos.
The other thing about military vehicles is, again, 18-year-olds. So they've got a TM manual that tells you everything from rebuilding the engine. So I mean, it's a cult. That's why when you meet somebody who has a fucking military vehicle, they always have a garage full of, I've got all this extra shit.
But it's like anything else, right? We had 2 4-wheelers, and then we get a Razor, and you're like, hey, I got a Razor. I can seat 4 people or 2 people, and I got these 2 4-wheelers. you want to go blasting off, and you're roosting in the shit out of the guys with the four-wheelers. So razors can't ride with four-wheelers.
Right.
It's the same thing with the military truck. If you're going to go out overlanding with your friends in the Overland Club, they all have to have military vehicles because you're driving at 45 miles an hour, and they're booking down the road at 80 miles an hour.
Yeah, you have to.
So you might
love it.
You might end up at the same campsite that night, but you guys aren't off-roading together.
Yeah, you gotta love it. You gotta love it.
And then all the support shit that goes with it.
Yeah. But you can get it. That's
inexpensively you can get it.
Yeah, you can get the shit.
But we can, right? I can get a 5-ton with a dump bed, and I can get a trailer with the pintle mount and all the big shit, but none of my equipment fucking works with it.
Now you got to get a military tractor.
You got to have everywhere you go. You got to have a 8-foot pile of dirt built into a ramp to load the thing.
Yeah, it's fun. Anyways,
so did you shoot this week?
I did shoot this week.
What did you shoot?
I shot a 9mm. I was shooting a 9mm full size 16-inch carbine that I got from out of the trunk of his car. Can't think of his name.
I don't know, but anyways.
Yeah.
So is it a purpose? Came from the manufacturer as a 9mm? It's not like an AR conversion.
It's one of those probably early 2000 guns. So when you could only get full size 9mm, had to have a 16-inch barrel.
So is it an AR type gun?
It's completely AR type gun. Yeah, it's fun. I was actually surprised at how far I could shoot it.
So is the receiver, was it a 5.56 gun that you got to put a block in and shit?
No, it's purpose-built 9mm.
Interesting. What do you think, if you could have any 9mm like sub-gun type thing, what would you have right now?
Man, nostalgically, I'd like the Swedish K.
Really?
Yeah, nostalgically, I'd like the Swedish K. M1 Thompson submachine gun would be cool just for the Marine Corps factor.
In 9mm?
No, that would have been in 45.
Got it.
But
yeah,
in 9mm, I'd go Swedish K.
Got it.
Yeah, I'd go Swedish K because every good CIA operative in Vietnam had a Swedish K.
I don't know that I ever fired a Swedish K, man. I think mine would probably still be just good old MP5.
I mean, the MP5's good.
And I'd go MP5 with a fixed stock.
MP5 is a good, it's a good submachine. Well, it's probably, the reality is the MP5 is probably the pinnacle of submachine guns. But the Swedish K for nostalgia. And the funny thing about all those, pre MP5, when you think about submachine guns, the pre MP5, not including the Mac 10, but most of the military submachine guns, when you think of machine gun, they shoot a shitload slower than you think. It's cat. It's not like it's not like a Mac 10 or even an MP5. They shoot really slow. So you can, even like a Sterling, you can even though it has a selector switch on it, you can semi-automatic.
Like a Mark 6 silent gun?
You can semi-automatic that gun because it shoots so slow. Same thing with like the grease gun. You can semi-automatic that thing because it just shoots so slow. It's like
what was the deal with the grease gun? Wasn't that manufactured at one point where they were just sending like blueprints out and people could just build them in machine shops?
No, that's a different gun that they were doing in England. But the grease gun, what happened with the grease gun is
it's so rough looking. Did they call it a grease gun because it looked like a grease gun?
Yeah, if you look up if you look up a grease gun from the 40s, so what they used on tanks, it looks just like that.
Got it.
And so the big thing about the grease gun was, if you take a look at like a Thompson submachine gun, that was still costing, even the M1s that the Marine Corps was using, that was still costing the military hundreds of dollars, right? So
the M1 carbines?
No, the M1 Thompson submachine gun. So the M1 Thompson machine gun was the one that you see Marines carrying in World War II and the paratroopers, 82nd Airborne guys, where there's no muzzle brake. It's all stick mag. You can't put a drum in it. They streamlined the Thompson submachine gun down to the bare minimum.
I guess I didn't know that was called an M1.
Yeah, it's called the Thompson submachine gun. I know this.
M1. Like I had a Universal or Ivor Johnson. I had a Universal M1 carbine, and then the military variant was the M2, and then in the future you saw tons of those on the market eventually.
but they streamlined it. But even streamlined, it still was costing the government a ton of money to make because those receivers were machined. The grease gun was stamped, and grease guns only cost the fucking government $18 to make.
Interesting.
Because they stamped it all out. Really, the only thing that, when you look at a grease gun, really the only thing that would even be complicated to make was the barrel. And they reduced the cyclic rate a little bit. And so that's why the grease gun became like the pinnacle for the military there at the end of the war. Like, all the tank crews were issued them. And then if you were anybody that was a ninja, you wanted a fucking grease gun just because it was the cool gun at the time.
That's cool.
Yeah. We're grease gunning it up.
Grease gunning it up.
Grease gun.
Yeah, grease gun.
Hornet.
So yeah,
what are you showing? Oh, the Wasp. Yeah, they keep coming in here. I vacuumed up 3 of them earlier today.
M151 grease gun. M151 Hawaiian shirt. OD trousers.
You might want to handle this, Brandel.
And a motherfucking.
Quickly before it gets me.
Oh, he's over there in the corner. Do we got the dustbuster?
Yeah, it works well.
Can you get him?
Get it? Yeah, go.
Airborne. Man, you got weak sauce.
Hey, get that thing.
What the hell, bro?
Yeah, what's going on here? Keep vacuuming. Do we have suction? Something seems askew here. Let's see. No. Yeah, he's in there.
Why are there like 100 in here?
Well, because
I vacuumed 4 up earlier. I like to torture them.
it's like an enclave. It'd be nice if they started building
They say if you take
a city in there.
If you take an ant hive,
Uh-huh.
and you just take a spoonful of ants from one,
Spoonful of ants,
and you put it in the other,
go down.
they all of a sudden start fighting and they kill each other. And then they're gone. I've tried it. I took like a shovel full of ants and put it in the other hive and took some from here.
Yeah, well, you would fight too. You would fight too if a giant fucking spoon from the universe came down, scooped you up, and dropped you on another town. You'd be like, "What the fuck?"
Well, I believe that does happen to us sometimes.
You'd be fighting too.
So,
yeah,
a friend of ours,
long-time
listener,
first-time caller,
AJ Harrison said, "Hey, I don't know if you and Scully have done this before, but you should do the 9/11 rabbit hole."
Nah, I'm not interested. That's old news.
Now your take on 9/11.
We're about to get hit by a dump truck of communism. Like a fucking dump truck of communism's rolling down the fucking causeway, screaming at us, and we're all eating fucking bonbons and looking backwards, going, I wonder who shot JFK. None of that shit matters anymore.
The crazier shit is even though that money's tight, they're still paying $80 a box for bonbons and eating them.
Are bonbons $80? I mean, shit is expensive. Like, I go and buy
I realize
3 bags, and she's like, 100. You've never had a bonbon? You motherfucking communist.
Well, they used to talk about like welfare moms would sit at home on the couch and eat bonbons. It's a little piece of ice cream, frozen and coated in chocolate. Those are bonbons.
Oh man, it's a wonderful experience. You need to get you know what? On the way home, stop at the grocery store, find some bonbons, take them to Hannah and be like, try these.
But are they called bonbons?
Yeah, they're called bonbons.
What?
Is that a nickname?
It's a street name.
No, it's a real thing. It's a real thing. Bonbons. Okay, just go to the ice cream.
Just type in BON.
Bonbons.
It's a chocolate covered little chocolate ice cream thing. Yeah. They used to come in a box. Who knows how they come now? Yeah,
you used to be able to get them at the movie theater.
Yeah, and then they came out with Dippin' Dots. I never had that bullshit.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, I'm sure he's like, it's like those those ice cream sandwiches you eat.
We can go down. I mean, we can go down whatever rabbit hole you want to go down. But my current concern is the fucking dump truck of
who's
communism.
Driving it.
Oh, the goddamn Camilla Harris is in the front with the fucking. She's in the front of the dump truck driving it, and she's got 2 fucking plungers in each hand. And she's so stupid she doesn't realize that the back of that fucking truck is just full of explosives. Yeah. That's where we're at right now.
So she is a
goddamn communist suicide bomber.
You did not watch any of the debate last night?
Not a drop of it.
You're not aware of anything that happened in the debate?
Well, I mean, I am aware that people are talking about how Trump didn't do very well, and they got a little bit of a screaming match or whatever.
So I watched it, man, and I didn't see any of that. Could Trump have done better? Maybe. I don't think that I thought all along somebody's feeding her. She has an earpiece or something, or there's a screen there or something. But there was definitely some buttons pushed. And it's weird when you see people who watch the same thing and you see their analysis and it's polar opposite.
Right, yeah.
My take on it was she accused him of a bunch of shit that she did. And she took credit for a bunch of stuff he did. That's really my take. I mean,
the smart play. The reality is the smart play. If you're in the Democrat, if you're in the Democrat strategic office here, the smart play is to always, no matter what it is first off, the Democrats have no policy. So the reality is, Kamala Harris is telling you nothing that she's going to do for the country, and everything that is wrong with the country, she has been a part of. So there is no Democratic policy. So you cannot go against Trump on policy because the country was better off when he was president than we are currently right now. Financially,
100%,
the world, stability in the world, better. So the Trump's his kink in his armor, and this used to be the way I used to manipulate snipers all the time. The kink in his armor is his ego. And so all you have to do is start going after his ego.
But everything we built was off of my ego.
Yeah.
Everything we built. It was always I'll show you and one up. And then once we did it, I would always say some crazy shit that I never thought we could do, but we always did it and then went beyond it.
But at what point is if you want to, we'll use you as an example since you brought yourself in this. At what point has your ego been the thing that's kept you from going to the next level? Right? At what point?
Do you have an example of what you think it is?
No, I mean, I'm just saying that the reality is there was a lot of companies that came into the fucking schema maneuver after you that has passed SOE and gone on to
absolutely
different, bigger, whatever. I mean, I think that.
But is that?
I think a lot of those guys. I think a lot of those guys have fell on their sword. But again, there's a point where.
But is that because of the decision to move to the most impoverished county in Tennessee?
No, I don't think so. I don't think so. You're very headstrong, and you have a vision of what you want on a day-to-day basis. And you
won't.
Yeah, won't. I guess won't's a better word. You won't let go of things. You hold on. I think the crazy part is I think you were even the one that fucking told me this a long time ago. Is you're a $500 an hour employee doing
$10 employee work.
$10 an hour employee work
every morning.
So you won't. So you won't let go to the point where it creates that stagnant, right? I mean, the reality is, John and Amanda, especially when you think about the type of gear that you make, and how you've transitioned it. So, if you think about San Diego, right? We'll go back to San Diego because I don't know if you did any of this stuff in San Diego. If you think about San Diego, you were making strictly like legit military
SEAL team
specific, military specific type of gear, right? It was legitimately, everything was representative, something that somebody wanted to take into the fight, right? Mm-hmm. And now that you're in Tennessee, you've transitioned a little bit where you're making a lot of gear that it's still the same shit, right? You take a fucking, you take a goddamn Navy SEAL kill Bin Laden rig, and you're like, put a little purple thread in here, and the niche customers are buying the shit out of all that stuff, and you've created a thing that I don't think any other company does that.
You know why?
Because it's a fucking pain in the ass.
Because they can't.
Well, maybe
they physically can't do it.
Maybe, but then again,
if you look at people sewing contrast thread,
yeah,
they can't do it. It looks like shit. They can't. They can do a single line. And if you look at it, there's some wave to it. but they definitely can't do it in a manner where they've sewn over the same thing.
That's what I'm saying. You've created a whole nother, like you've taken tactical gear and boutiqued it.
So I was in. I would go anytime we'd go into Nashville. We'd go to Opera Mills, and there was an Oakley store there. And we went into the Oakley store, and I would buy a pair of Oakley sunglasses, once a month, every couple months, and I wanted to have all of the metal ones, right? So they dropped this line of Ducati and Ferrari glasses, and I bought all of them one at a time. And when we were in there, I saw that they had camouflage type bags. I always was attracted to the Oakley bags. They're horrible bags. They're incredibly heavy. They've got metal all over them that tink and make all kinds of noises, and they got buckle.
They're not for killing.
Yeah, they got like parachute fucking clip in, but they clink, and I just thought it was neat the way they had branded that, right? They had a military type look for a civilian market, right?
Right.
And then when I had met Hunter Cray, right, that was his thing with the snowboarding stuff. He's like, man, we got to take some sheets of plywood and we got to shoot them with some shotguns and put some metal behind them. And it was just that mashup of different mediums. Starling Gear did a good job with that, right? Just different types of very beautiful embossed exotic leathers with Japanese steel mixed with bronzes and coppers, right? So you had all these artists and different craftsmen involved in these projects. And when I saw those Oakley bags, I thought that was cool because we could market what we were already doing to a civilian market, because there's only so many SEALs. That's what we'd always said. At any given time, there was only ever 200 SEALs in the entirety of the United States, perhaps, right? Or in the entirety of the United States Navy. So that, and like 8541s, there's only there's 100 of them, 200 at any given time, right? And that's our meat and potatoes. So how do we take what we're already doing and make it usable and valuable to millions of people?
Even when you look back at those days, like if you go back to San Diego, it couldn't have been just military guys that were buying the shit.
No, but they were all trigger pullers.
It had to have been. There had to been like, dudes that are just buying it to buy it.
Well, we said that all along, right? There was always the dude like Blackhawk, Honors a Way of Life, right? Yeah. They all hired the same marketing guy, Jim Bonus, who came from Coca-Cola. That's why Surefire, Blackhawk, Otis Cleaning Kits, all their marketing all looked identical. Because he was literally just, hey, I've already got this template with this fire. Let's just plug this fucking thing on there, right? They approached us with it. Honors a Way of Life, lifetime warranty. Well, the average customer, SEALs issued some Blackhawk, some Mike Knoll stuff, and it never came home off target, right? If it failed, they always got issued, here's your new fucking laundry cart with fucking $4,000 worth of new bullshit in there. But the civilian who was buying that gear, most of those guys would buy that to fabricate the Walter Mitty story, right? He had told his girlfriend a series of small little lies so that she would formulate this story in her head about where he would go on the weekends, and then he would put that gear in the trunk, and then she would accidentally see the gear in the trunk and assume, right? The best lie to tell is to not tell a lie at all. They're going to fabricate a story better than the story you could tell. But my point is, the average Blackhawk customer never used that equipment to the point of failure, so 95% of it never failed because it was never used enough to fail.
I would say...
whereas our shit, we built it in a manner like we literally I design things with the thought 10 years from now, if I have to take this apart, can I fix this and warranty this? Like literally.
You don't have any goddamn... I hate to interrupt on that note, but I mean, have you ever had to warranty outside of belts?
No.
Yeah, I can't, because you're even, when I think about the patrol rig, I've had that patrol rig for...
If it comes in here where there's a warranty issue, it's not because what we did failed. It's because something catastrophic happened, right? It's going to involve an IED. It's going to involve corpsmen cutting that shit off with seatbelt cutters. It's going to involve bullet holes, fire, or boat prop.
Well, yeah, because I've got...
And we have had dudes that have literally been in IEDs And one of their boys was like, hey, I know this is really important, got it. And like, we've had rigs come in here that had fucking blood all over them and fucking like clearly like bullet holes and shit. I'm like, hey, you sure you want to, like, do you want, I will build you a new one of these. And they're like, no, sentimental value. Like, we're to the point now where guys have belts that are out there 30 years and they're like, will you rebuild this? I'm like, bro, it's time to retire this. Keep it on the wall. Let us give you a new one. Or, you know, whatever it is. But it's to the point I'm like, dude, there's not much left here.
Well, I mean, because I'm just going to go back to that patrol rig. I mean, I say 20 years, but it's been 30
years.
It's been 30 years now.
And it's probably more than that.
And I, again, used it on full mission profiles all the time up until probably 2005. And there's not a motherfucking thread on there that is kinky. You know, yeah, the colors are fading, but whatever. That's just
here's an example, right?
There's nothing on that rig there's nothing on that rig. Like, I don't think I own anything. Let me think. I only own, here's the truth. I own a lot of SOE shit. I have one large tool bag that is fucked up. One large tool bag that is fucked up. That I should bring in for warranty and make this motherfucker put a new handle on there. But the only reason why it's fucked up is because I shot the M14 off it and muzzle brake the shit out of it.
You were there when
That's the only reason why it's fucked up. It's not fucked up because the bag failed.
National match,
I failed it.
National match, M1A1. Tim LaFrance did all the work on it. And it was shortened to 16 inches.
16.
And it had a DTA mill brake. And as I was shooting off of a bag, I was on a bag called a stall sack, STAHL. They're these German dive bags, badass, beautiful bags, and they're made of 1050 ballistic nylon. Very robust bag. And as I'm shooting, no, it wasn't even me, fucking asshole. It was my cousin. He was shooting, and it was creeping back and he got back, and it blew that bag to fucking shreds. But that's my M1A. We were at Paul, as a matter of fact, when that happened.
But even that large tool bag,
still functional, 100%.
It blew the top 2 inches of stitching out it, but I haven't brought it back because there's nothing wrong with it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's still
an example of, like I'm saying, I design things so that we can warranty them. When I put the Velcro on the front of the mag pouches, we edge tape that top of that mag pouch and then put the Velcro on. And I never like that because that top of that Velcro where we've cut it eventually will start to fray. And the answer is you just hit it with a lighter. I prefer to put it under that edge tape. The way those pouches are made, where they're sewn together on the side and then we sew them onto the vest, to warranty that Velcro, if it's under that edge tape, we have to unassemble that whole entire pocket, which means we have to open that whole panel of that vest. And at that point, we might as well fabricate a whole brand new vest panel at that point. So instead, I have always put those pieces of Velcro on top of that edge tape.
Because I feel like
so that we can sew them on if we have to.
When you say warranty,
freshen up.
I send my fucking
spa treatment.
Yeah, I send my fucking bag back, and you put a new handle on it. Zip zip. It's fucking, but it's still the same bag. Compared to when we're talking about Blackhawk,
they just give you a new one.
They're just gonna fucking give you.
Yeah, there's nobody there.
Why would they? There's nobody that's gonna fucking restitch the shit and give it back to you. And that's kind of the. I guess that would be kind of the weird thing, because if you were really, just like you said before, if you were really using the gear, there's a bit of sentimentalness attached to it. You know, if you're sentimental, I know some of you guys out there are like, but there's a little bit of sentimental, like, for example, the patrol rig. Somebody offered me a fucking crazy amount of money, like a dumb amount of money for the patrol rig. And I'm like, no, I mean, I've had it.
Were you there when
I can't sell you that rig.
The Louis Vuitton pack? Were you there
when that was it Japanese or Chinese?
Well, there's been several. There's German, there's a Russian dude. There's a Russian guy.
Yeah, but who was the guy that, like, he was Asian persuasion?
He's Asian. I don't know where in Asia he's from. Fucking great,
that guy
great
came
client.
Back, he came back like 5 or 6 times.
Yeah,
and kept
and
offering me more money.
There's another dude running around that buys up all the SOE Striders when they ever come up for sale. And he has a ton. Like, very impressive. I'm very stoked that he has those. But same thing. Like, we're up to $5,000 that I've turned down just because I like it sitting there.
Well, I mean, the reality is if you think about Louis Vuitton, right, or any of those what are they called? Lifestyle brands,
designer bags.
Yeah, lifestyle brands. The reality is that's what they do. We're going to make 100 bags. If you get one, you get one. If you don't, you don't. And then they hit the secondary market, and they're only more valuable at the secondary market.
Yeah, it's drip marketing. Strider's been good at that. And if you look at where that really came from, it came from Supreme, the company Supreme. They're making they drop a T-shirt at $100, and guys literally kill each other standing in line over them, and they get them, and then they flip them on eBay for $300.
Yeah. So I mean, that's if you're talking about a SOE Louis Vuitton or whatever, there's only one. Like, how much is only one worth? Like, if Correct. You really want the thing, how much is think about any lifestyle brand. If Louis Vuitton came out with a bag, especially a bag that size, right? A real bag, and we're only making one, it would sell for fucking $1 million.
So, when you said, we did a good job at kind of transitioning the company, but I saw that coming. When we started talking about the war slowing down and all of that, but the question was, did it ever
slow down?
Right. That's a good point, man. That's a good point.
We're still, we have to figure out, you should make gear that has little Ukraine flags on it. You could sell millions of them.
I mean, we guys from Ukraine order shit.
Yeah.
I mean, you just have, and you always have dudes that have different stuff, right? The SEALs always, we'd have a dude see us at the gun show and he's like, hey, Bob Evans has one of these. I'm like, yeah, I made it for Bob Evans. He's like, oh man, Bob told me he didn't remember where it came from. That's how the SEALs always were. They would get something, and then the other guy would try to one up them, or hey man, you put a bolt cutter pouch, but can you put the bolt cutter and then put a shotgun beside it, and then in the middle, can I have like 4 road flares? They were always trying to step it up, one up, and have something very unique. But a lot of that kind of, when they go operational, and when there's real shit happening, all that standardization shit goes out the fucking window. But when it's peacetime, it's back to the bullshit.
Back to the bullshit.
Always back in
But
garrison.
I mean, they never have to. The reality is those guys never have to actually.
Yeah, I don't mean the SEALs necessarily, but when we're dealing with like 1st Marine Division, Force can kind of do whatever they want to do. Yeah. Battalion could kind of, recon could kind of do, but like the other dudes, and then when they're back in formation, all that bullshit flows back into it. So much so that, like, when they had side open gas masks, like, the Marine Corps bought 1,000 of those. We did 1,000 for 1st Marine Division. We did 1,000 of those side opening gas masks. And it came from those little units, them seeing those things.
Seeing those things, yeah. That was a good gas mask pouch for...
Still is.
Those gas masks.
We still get dudes asking for them. I'm like, when's the last time you motherfuckers actually wore a gas mask?
The issue is every now and then it becomes a thing that hits the zeitgeist, and so every now and then the military will be like, they might use chemical weapons on us, and so they'll get real excited about fucking issuing that kit, and then the next month they'll be like,
so I'm building.
That's fucking dumb.
I'm getting ready to do a whole video series, and click through links with Amazon links and the whole deal. We're going to do this whole fucking, it should almost be another channel, but I've been amassing all of these items.
It should be another channel.
I've been amassing all these items for Bugout bags, right? Bugout or inch, I'm never coming home, whatever you want to fucking call them. The only difference is how big they are. And, Cody's experiencing this for the first real time, right? Cody's classed up, a lot of classes, lots of schools, but no patrolling stuff. No like Boy Scout kind of shit, camping for multiple days. And he's got the rifle kit, the jungle kit on, and he's like, man, I'm just really having a problem with this backpack. It really interferes with my butt pack. And I'm like, yeah, because you're not supposed to do both at the same time. You just know what this backpack feels like, but you've never experienced the backpack with the butt pack. Download the butt pack, put it in the backpack, and vice versa, and get used to that butt pack working as a shelf. He's like, but I can't put on the waist strap. I'm like, yeah, that's the animal.
Or stop being a bitch.
And I'm like,
get the right back.
I'm
right
backpack. And his buddy Isaac works here, and great kid, just doesn't have any field experience, and he's doing the same thing. He's like, well, should I get the whatever the Marine Corps fucking Molly pack, the Molly pack or whatever? And I'm like, look, the truth is, it's like shoes. You need 10 different pairs for 10 different missions. It's like having a vehicle, right? Yeah, you want the two-door Porsche that's fast and sporty, but you can't pick up concrete in it. And then you got the 4Runner, but you're like, do I really want to put concrete in my 4Runner? So you get a beater truck to use on the weekend. You need a multiple different things for.
What he really needs to do is he just needs to go to the surplus store, and he needs to not buy anything that's not Alice.
Okay.
Just Alice.
So what I told him was
just Alice. Alice pack, everything Alice. And the reason why I say that is because it's a semi decent beginner kit.
It's proven.
Yeah, it's a semi decent beginner kit, and it's great to hook all that shit up, put everything in it, and use it for a while, because then it's kind of like use your iron sights before you get a red dot, because then you'll see the SOE gear or whatever it is you're looking at, and you'll go, oh, now I see why the shoulder pads are like that. Now I understand why the canteen pouch is like, because you can use it for other things.
Let me point out to you that you did say in a podcast within the last few months that they're not even putting iron sights anymore.
They're not. The reality is okay. So the way they look at it, because here's the thing, the logistical aspect of military life is you have individuals within the military that want to train and fight, right? There's a whole core of guys that really just want to train and fight. They want to go shoot guns,
which is what they went in the Marine Corps for.
They want to blow stuff up. They want to do that. And then you have a whole group of individuals that don't ever have aspirations of doing that.
Yeah, don't you call those guys Marines?
Who run the logistical portion of that.
And Rangers?
Yeah, who run the logistical portion of it. And so logistically what they do is they go, oh, you used iron sights in boot camp, so now you know how to use iron sights. Well, we don't have to issue those iron sights anymore. From a bean counter perspective, that's awesome, because you just saved the Marine Corps millions of dollars because you're not issuing these sights out anymore. But from a tactical perspective, from a real warfighter perspective, motherfuckers spent 20 years in the Marine Corps and didn't know how to properly use their iron sights back when we just had iron sights. So to say that because you did this introductory thing now makes you an expert for 5 years from now, it's a horseshit answer. It's a horseshit bean counter fucking general officer who should get kicked in his balls answer.
Have you ever put on a Molly pack? Any of the newer?
No,
pack?
I've never. The Molly one with the fucking plastic frame.
That's where I'm going. Okay. Have you ever seen?
Never used one.
But your rifle team had them, right? You've been in the field with guys with plastic frames.
God damn! You know what?
Have you ever
say that? But I don't.
Have you ever seen a plastic frame that didn't fucking squeak?
I don't remember ever.
Dude, just standing in the store. So Isaac's holding one of these packs, and I'm like, don't buy that motherfucker. He goes, why? I go, well, it weighs 5 pounds right now to start with. And no matter what you do.
The thing about that Molly pack. You
can put an Alice frame on it.
But the thing about that Molly pack, when that came out, I don't think that the military realistically
planned on wearing them.
That the military ever planned on guys carrying them, that they would always be in a truck, because the way they're designed,
they hang on the side of the vehicles.
The way they're designed, though, is they're designed to be too heavy to carry, meaning there's just, once you put all the shit on there, like I saw just recently a Marine Corps officer. He's a officer at officer candidate school, and he did a video about what Marines carry, right? What is an officer normally carry in the field? And he starts pulling shit out of his bag, and he's like, he's got some of the normal stuff, but then he starts pulling accessory shit out of his bag that I'm like, bro, you don't carry that in the field. It's a substitute item. You're either using it one or the other. You're not carrying all that shit in the field. What the fuck? You're carrying bags to carry bags. It's just, I don't know. I think they just don't understand.
So Cody and Isaac are putting these bags together, and he's like, man, my pack's 44 pounds. I'm like, well, let's dump it out and look at it. I'll bet you got 10 ways to start a fire in there, right? I'll bet you got I'm like, you got water and ammo? No water and ammo, 44 pounds. I'm like, yeah, we can lighten that shit up. So he's like, I want this, I don't know what it was. It's like 6,500 inch. I'm like, dude, have you ever carried a pack that heavy? I'm like, why don't, you're going to need a day pack no matter what. Let's get you buy a Mystery Ranch. You're like, I own 50 of them. I truly believe that's the thing to get, right? So what does he do? He goes and he's like, hey, I bought this surplus something, Molly Ruck and Molly day pack or something. I'm like, okay, next time you buy some shit, tell me you're buying it first. He's like, do you got a guy? I go, I always have a guy. I've always got a better guy. So this thing's coming. I don't know what's here. Some fucking boxes of something just showed up, surplus something to Cody. So who knows what the fuck's in there. And I'm like, he was on the live the other day. He said something. And I go, oh, you think you're so smart. I go, you always ask the dudes who know and have done what you want to do. And then you do the exact fucking opposite. I go, you're never going to wish you didn't have all these packs and stuff because it gives you options. I go, but why don't you load up a day pack and just go do the 3-mile loop out here? There's a lot of terrain to it. I go, because you haven't done any of that. You're talking about going out for 3 weeks. How about we start with 3 hours? Like, let's do that first. I go, you know what I'm taking? He goes, what? I go, a Camelback. He goes, you're not going to carry? I go, no, because you're going to drop half that bullshit on the way. I'm just going to fucking pick your stuff up and use it if I need it. Like, let's go.
No, that's why I say,
let's try fucking crawling before we're fucking enter the marathon.
That's why I say get the oldest gear. Get the oldest surplus gear you can that's complete.
Learn to be uncomfortable so that you appreciate the comfort.
Alice is like, the reality is when you look, Alice is like pretty much the oldest gear that you kind of can still get complete. Butt packs are the old nylon butt packs are completely disappearing. I saw one fucking on eBay for $65 and I'm like,
dude, holy shit. I just bought some Woodland BDUs off eBay. There's a lot of shit on eBay. I'd never seen extra short stuff before, but there's a lot of it.
The reason why you're seeing extra short is because what happens is
that's all that's left out of those cases.
Left. Yeah, that's all that's left.
Well, that's what Amanda wears. Yeah. So it's cool that I can buy something and there's always the thing she needs there also. So it's there, but they're learning, and that's the Alice pack thing with that fighting load, right? Cody's like, are all butt packs as big as ours? I'm like, no, ours is a little bit bigger, but butt packs are pretty good size. I go, I've always intended to make a smaller butt pack, but you need to be able to go between them, right? That's for whatever it is you're doing, like it's assaults, right? If you're going to self-contained, you're going to move up and do an assault, you're going to drop that pack. You're going to put that shit into the butt pack so you have ammo or fucking whatever it is in the butt pack, and then keep that shit in like C-line bags, compression bags or whatever. Take that component out of there, put it in the ruck, take it out of the ruck, put it back in the butt pack as you need it. That's why it's got the compression straps. But that Alice pack will sit on top of that butt pack because it's short, right? And it'll still function.
Yeah, that's the thing about the Alice system. It was kind of designed. Well, it was designed for it all to be used together. So literally, you can have an Alice pack on and a full butt pack, and they don't interfere with each other. Now, you can't use the waist strap on the Alice pack when you're wearing your full kit, but nobody ever did anyways, right? Nobody ever did anyways. You just suffered through it, and that's kind of the thing. It's easy for you to buy fucking 50 Mystery Ranch backpacks. But if you don't know, you don't know. And I think don't know. The best way to learn is to fucking, you're telling them the best way to learn is to fucking fill the shit up. The reality is you got to do like fucking,
you live in a forest.
The reality is you got to do a little, you got to let kids learn through pain a lot of times. And you should tell those two, pack all your shit. You're going to the woods for 3 days, and then just drop them off somewhere, and they will figure out what is the shit that they don't need, what is the shit that they do need. I mean, because the reality. I say 20 years.
Dude, we were
10
out
years.
there.
10 years in the Marine Corps. We were still using half shelters, like World War II half shelters, sleeping on a fucking ground mat directly on the fucking ground. I got pictures of me in the Philippines digging trenches around the tent so it didn't flood out. It worked. It worked. Is it more? Are there tents out there now that are more comfortable? There are tents out there that are more comfortable, but they're not as light.
But are we really carrying a fucking tent?
Well, it just depends, right? It depends on your environment.
So
it depends on what your long range aspirations are. From a rifle company, in a rifle company, yeah, you're really carrying a tent. In the scout sniper platoon, no, you're fucking leaning up against your ruck and sleeping out in the fucking
guerrilla warfare insurgency. You're not using a tent.
Well, that's not necessarily true. Even in guerrilla warfare, if you're talking real guerrilla warfare, you're still gonna establish a place,
home base.
You're still gonna establish a home base, and when you establish that home base, you are gonna fucking put up shelters, and you're gonna make things more comfortable because that's gonna be the place that you hope is safe enough for you to decompress.
But I look at it more as like the French underground.
But
you're being hunted.
But even the French underground, the reality is the French underground slept inside way more than
inside. Building structures, not tents though.
Well, not tents, but that's not. That's not really guerrilla warfare.
So we started talking about this because I've been watching a ton of YouTube videos on Bugout bags and such, and a lot of these guys have fucking gas masks with them, and I love gas masks. That I have 100 gas masks, but to carry one with you on a daily basis.
Can I tell you a Mogadishu story?
Yeah.
I'll tell you a Mogadishu story. So we'll go back to the 90s, right? There was a threat of chemical warfare because of Saddam Hussein, and so there was a little bit of hype in the Marine Corps about chemical warfare. And we got the new M40 masks. But in the sniper platoon, we always looked at it, and this may be totally hogwashable, but we always looked at it as because we are forward of friendly lines, we're really
expendable.
We're really the guys that are going to be like, gas, 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 and that's the last thing you're going to hear from us. We're not going to have the equipment. We're not going to have the equipment to identify the gas. We're not going to have, there's no fucking way we're carrying full mop suits and shit. And so a lot of, I'll say all through that time period, we never carried our gas masks. And so we end up going to Somalia, right? We go to Somalia, and what do we leave on the ship? There's two things we left on the ship that you wouldn't think would have been an issue in Mogadishu. We left our sleeping bags, and we left our gas masks. Day 2, we needed our sleeping bags, and then like halfway through the deployment, the Somalis, I don't know how they got it. The Somalis got some CS, and they gassed the embassy, and so the fucking our positions were right in the wind pattern, and so they got fucking gassed at the embassy. And after they gassed the embassy, so they hit them with, it was just CS gas, and so we're like, fuck, nobody's got a gas mask. And then after that, I think it was the New Zealanders. So we had some New Zealanders there. They were getting intel reports that Adid was actually in Kenya buying chemical landmines in order to use the chemical landmines on the UN position. And we're like, fuck, we don't have our gas masks, and you can't really call back the ship and be like, hey man,
could you not?
That piece of gear that we're supposed to have with us all the time, we didn't bring it.
But could you not?
I mean, we could have, but because
the ship's still offshore, right?
Yeah, in the big scheme of the maneuver, the threat wasn't real, and so we never got our gas masks. We did get our sleeping bags though.
So I mean, like Mira makes these, like they've got these different masks, right? Mm-hmm. And for a guy who's not ever put on a gas mask, you don't know why the gas masks are different, right? And you've got one piece, which is great. You can see everything. but can you fucking shoot with it? And what is your sighting system? And then they've got 2-piece masks, which are pretty badass too. And the way you see it presented is like for fire, toxins being burnt in the city, shit like that. Those masks, maybe particles, respirator like that, and then to have a 2-piece, mask to wear with the helmet and such. I mean, it's cool, but it takes a lot of volume. And like the kids are realizing right now, so Cody's like 44 pounds. He's like, and what do you do like for a sleeping bag? I go, well, you just be cold. You're going to layer shit up. There is no fucking sleeping bag. He's like, but what about in the winter? I go, well, it's a whole different backpack, man. Like it's a completely different bag. You're literally doubling the weight, and you want to buy the most expensive because the most expensive is also the lightest. And unfortunately, those two go hand in hand, right? You can get, like I still have somewhere, I have a cold weather sleeping bag, military issue. Mm-hmm. It weighs 12 pounds.
Yes.
I mean, like before the Gore-Tex and the 4-component, the 3-component sleep system came out.
Green cold weather sleep bags.
And those 3 components are nice bags, but they're still like retard heavy compared to civilian market and current stuff. So
because there is a quantifying difference.
Sure, robust versus.
Well, the quantifying difference is the reality is outside of force. So outside of forced carrying of said equipment, meaning we're going to go on a fucking 12-mile road march. We're going to go on a 10-mile road. We're going to go on a 25-mile road march. Outside of forced carrying the equipment, it is very rare. It's very rare in the real world when there's bad guys present and we're moving to contact to where you're carrying all that shit. It's in a fucking truck. It's in a staging area. You're not the idea of you're moving around the battlefield with all your cold weather equipment and all that. It's not real because everybody knows it's not a sustainable thing because you also have a fighting load, right? So, especially now when you think about the armor systems that everybody is wearing, it's just not an obtainable thing, right? It's not a thing that. Now, I know guys are going to be like, oh, do more push-ups. You're full of shit, okay? You just can't carry all that equipment in a combat role, right, where you're moving to contact. You're not going to do that. You're going to drop it in a staging area. You're going to fucking drop it on a truck. 90% of the time, if you think of the last 20 years of fucking Iraq and Afghanistan, 90% of the time, probably 98% of the time, every piece of kit that you didn't fight with was on a truck anyways. Like nobody was walking around with fucking outside of when the 82nd Airborne jumped into Afghanistan and they had to carry all their shit. You just don't, because it's not a realistic idea of how you're going to be able to fight. Even if you look at World War II, when you see the guys getting off the boats and going in with all their kit and shit, as soon as they got to the beach, they dropped it at the beach. Wherever they were come sundown, that gear was brought to them by the shore party. They didn't go back and pick it up. That gear was brought to them by the shore party. So in real combat, you're not really carrying that shit. It is more of an administrative thing. So even, like when the Marine Corps goes to Bridgeport and you do get issued all the fucking cold weather gear and the tents and the fucking sleeping bags and all that shit. Yes, you carry that shit to the top of the mountain, but you carry that shit to the top of the mountain in a completely administrative manner, meaning there's no outguards. Nobody's shooting at you, because the minute that happens, all that shit gets dropped anyways. So, we'll just use Bridgeport as an example because I was talking about it. You have all that cold weather gear. If the objective was at the top of the hill, and you knew there was an enemy force at the top of the hill, you wouldn't carry any of that shit anyways. No. All that shit would stay down at the bottom until after the fucking thing, and then the fucking T-bones and the fucking beer shows up after, not to the fight. And so that means that gear can be heavier, right? Whereas when you think about through hikers, guys that are fucking really hiking 100 miles, they can't. They got to start with what they have, and so that's why you can get a fucking sleeping bag that weighs. Yeah,
there's not a resupply either.
Right.
Yeah, so
military is it's kind of a different animal.
reading a lot of comments in the videos, you see, like, when they're talking about bags and such, you see, like, this bag's rated down to 33 degrees. Yeah, that doesn't mean you're taking your clothes off. You're sleeping in that motherfucker. That keeps you alive, not comfortable, right? That's why you have that fucking 10-layer system, right? You're going to wear the wind shirt or the fucking whatever, and you're going to wrap up in your whoopee, and you're going to get in there, and if, you know, your ground cloths, or you're going to make a tarp, or, you know, you're going to layer that shit up. And the other thing, too, is, like, I heard the Spirit of Systems dude said, he's like, I don't ever zip myself in some shit that I can't get out of.
Yeah.
He's like, if I'm getting in here to sleep, I also have a guard. Like, there's people on guard, right? Or even he talked about, like, hot swapping. He's like, I might sleep for an hour, 2 hours. I get out of this fucking bag, another guy gets in it, and then I take fucking guard duty. Like, there's the kid, like, they're about to find all this shit out. They're about to.
I mean, that's the best way to do it too. Is just
Absolutely.
To get out and do it. Like, they don't. The reality is, like, Cody, you know, especially here, Cody doesn't. The truth is, Cody should just get all his shit and just go out there to the tree and live in the tree for a week.
Yep.
Because if it, you know,
and he has, man. He, like, when we bought the property, they came out here. There was campsites and shit out here. They did. So I don't know.
Yeah, he did. I do remember he took me out to a fucking little thing that they. I'm like, your dad's gonna be pissed when he sees all this fucking kit you stole from him.
Yeah.
But I mean, that's just the way to do it. The reality is that's the way to do it, because again, if he's out there by the tree and it's wintertime and the fucking sleeping bag that he's decided that he's going to carry is not sufficient, he doesn't have to die. He can just come in the house, right? He can just be like, yeah, that sleeping bag sucks. We were just talking about backpacks. That's it. That's all we've talked about today is backpacks.
Well, there's a lot to say about backpacks.
I told everybody to get your 1965 Alice.
Get even before that, go canvas.
No, you can't.
Why?
You can't go canvas.
How come?
Because it's gone.
Well,
it just doesn't exist.
You just look up bushcrafting.
Well, that's going to be new canvas. It's not the.
But you could
good canvas.
I could build you a canvas. Well, I mean, I don't know why you would, but I mean, we could build something that just goes on an Alice pack frame. How about we just build a better Alice pack frame? There's some machined aluminum, like Molly frames and stuff out there. There's some crazy stuff. I mean, you're only limited by money. There is some stuff out there, though.
Yeah, but that's the issue. You're limited by money.
So I bought some stuff off Amazon thinking it was like new surplus or, you know, the new thing, right? Ground tarps or whatever. But when I got them, they were not new. They were used military surplus. And when you buy that shit on Amazon, it doesn't say, hey, motherfucker,
gonna have holes
this
in it?
Is used. Or, hey, when you peel this apart, it's all stuck together, right? It doesn't say any of that stuff.
Yeah.
So
that's the interesting about the Marine Corps ground tarps.
That's what I bought.
Yeah, some of them, whatever they're doing to make
coating.
that coating, some of them will stick completely together, and you gotta. I don't know what it is, and then some of them, because I don't want to say it out loud. I probably have 20 of them because I keep going to every time I go to that surplus store. I'm like, I got to rescue it. I got to rescue this tarp. I can't let it sit in here.
They were a little hard to find, and we went through them at the surplus store, but most of them were pretty damaged.
Yeah.
We pulled 2 of them out of there, and then I bought 2 more. But they were stuck together, so I peeled them all, got them all flat, all the wrinkles out of them, put them over the treadmill and stair stepper, let them sit there for a while, and then folded them back. And they don't seem to stick once they're folded back, so I suspect that they were put away damp or something.
Or they've probably just been put away for a long time. Yeah, sitting for a long time. Heat and all that.
All right.
What else?
But that's all I got, man. You're not up to current events. You're not up to date.
What? There's nothing you're going to tell me about current events that I'm not going to have an answer for.
Who's responsible for 9/11?
Who's responsible for 9/11?
George Bush.
No. George Bush is not responsible for 9/11.
Who's responsible for the Tomahawk that hit the Pentagon?
No Tomahawk hit the Pentagon. It was a real jet that hit the Pentagon. Yeah.
No fucking way.
Yeah. What? Real people disappeared.
No, they didn't.
Yeah, real people were on that plane and real people disappeared. And if you take away all the conspiracy theory stuff, and you actually look at some of the footage that came out that real people took, of the Pentagon, you can clearly see the fucking Boeing 747 or whatever aircraft it was. You can clearly see the fucking engine sitting right there in front of the fucking Pentagon. They didn't bust that shit in. It wasn't a Tomahawk missile. Because here's the other thing. A Tomahawk missile wouldn't attack that way.
What would it do?
It would attack from the top down.
Is that how they always do it?
That's how they always do it. Unless they're attacking a ship. It wasn't a Tomahawk missile. It was here's when you think about the conspiracy about 9/11. The real conspiracy is not whether they used a fucking military plane or they fired Tomahawk cruise missiles or any of that shit. The real conspiracy is who knew what about when and who those people were and how they got in the country. Those were real Saudis that took over real aircraft and attempted to do as much destruction as they could. It wasn't fucking ninja airplanes. It wasn't none of that shit. A lot of people knew about those people in country. Pre-9/11, I mean, it's no different than when you think about, let's reel it back a little bit. The current school shooter.
Which one?
The one that just happened in Georgia.
Okay. What do you know about
Just like every other fucking shooter, to include the dude who tried to shoot the president. Guess who knew about him prior to the fact?
Okay, so you know
the
that
FBI.
Do you know camera footage has come out when the FBI made contact a year prior and actually interviewed the kid? The footage is out to the public right now where the FBI agent showed up at the house, talked to the dad, and then talked to the dad and the kid.
Yeah.
You know that footage is out there?
Oh, I'm sure it is. I mean, the reality is
it's all over social media.
The FBI knew.
Yeah.
The FBI knew these. That's a common theme with shooters is for some reason the FBI knows who they are, and they always execute the thing that the FBI went there to investigate. Because literally, the kid in Georgia, he was being investigated by the feds because he said he was going to shoot up that school.
So they found his Discord server, and he had said that he was going to shoot up an elementary school. He made threats against another elementary school. The FBI agent did show up, did interview him. And then 3 hours prior to the event happening, the kid told his mom, "I'm sorry," or said something that made her believe that this was about to happen. And she actually called the school and said that this was going to happen. Somebody else actually called the school to warn the school and gave them the kid's name, and the school actually went and pulled in another kid or went to find another kid because there was a kid with a similar name. In an interview with one of the girls that was in the classroom, the kid had actually showed up, and she said that was actually the weird thing is that he was at school because he typically would not attend school. So he was there that day, left the classroom, and the doors auto lock. He came back trying to get in the classroom. They saw that he had a gun. He couldn't get in there. And she said that, "I think he was coming back to kill us first." And that was an interview that's out public facing with a news crew.
Yeah.
So what about charging the dad? What do you think about that? They've charged the dad 180 counts of...
We're at a strange crossroads, right? He has committed a crime. He did commit a crime. He bought that rifle specifically for his son in order to, in his words, keep him from doing school shootings.
Okay, so I hadn't heard that.
Yeah.
So he knew the kid was unstable.
Yeah, he knew the kid was unstable, and he bought the rifle specifically for him to calm him down so he wouldn't do a school shooting. I don't know.
And let him have possession of it?
And let him have possession of it. Yeah, the reason why they are charging dad is
to
because
make an example.
Well, it's not necessarily to make an example. If you look at the details of that kid's life and the details of what went on, I mean, fucking the dad and mom actually all the way through are making all the wrong decisions about it. Right? They're making all the wrong decisions about their son and him having a firearm and where it's kept, and so I mean, I don't know. Some of the stuff that they're charging him with, I don't see how he can be charged with. But again,
you know how that goes.
Yeah. You throw everything at. So you.
What are they charging him with that surprises you?
Manslaughter. Because, again, he wasn't culpable to the crime outside of providing the firearm. That's like that's like you giving Cody the fucking keys to the car. He gets drunk
Right.
and runs somebody over. You're not.
Well, that'll be next. They'll be
No,
coming
I
for
know.
that.
That's the problem. Is it snowballs? All you have to do is make case law once, and then you can charge people with all kinds of crazy shit.
Yeah, chip it away.
But that he will. I'll bet Dad pleads out. So ultimately,
Well, that's what the whole system is about. It's about getting people to plead
I
out.
bet Dad pleads out. Dad and Mom are going to plead out to lesser crimes. I mean, they have a whole list of other things in their lives that have put them on the radar. So
Like what?
just they're white trash, kind of.
Got it.
There's all kinds of shit going
Got
on
it.
in the background.
Yeah, that's the same thing with the president, the guy, the Couch or whatever that shot the president. They're kind of white trash as well.
But you know that? Did you know that?
But I mean, I was white trash.
A little less white trash than they are.
Okay.
They're more Brandel white trash.
Well, Brandel's like you look at Brandel and just
they're more
assume
Brandel
he's
white
white
trash.
trash. People
but
don't
again-
realize that face tattoos are very expensive.
But here's the other thing. Your president assassinator was transitioning.
This kid was
And
transitioning.
your Georgia shooter was
yeah,
transitioning.
so Nashville, all the Tranifesto stuff's
Yeah.
out there.
Yeah, so maybe back in the 90s when they called it a mental illness it was really a mental illness.
Well, that's Nancy Reagan's fault.
It was really a mental illness.
Yep.
So,
Open the doors. Be free.
well, no, what I'm saying is,
Yeah, no, I got you.
you know, that idea in your head of transitioning is a mental illness.
Yeah, so how do you, like Kamala Harris said she came, like apparently this is out there, I don't know when it was said, but it came out yesterday, it's all around that, yes, I think that immigrants, we should pay for gender reassignment surgery if they want that. And then that surprised me. Well, I guess it doesn't surprise me, but it's out there now.
You think
What about all the people in the military?
that's the biggest problem. That's the biggest problem you want to address. The biggest problem you want to address: millions of immigrants coming across the border, and you're like, we should give them gender reassignment.
Right.
I'm sure they would rather have jobs, homes, food, schools to send their kids to.
Well, they're giving them food. I mean, they're finding EBT receipts that have anywhere from $15,000 to $20,000.
Apparently not enough, John. If you got to eat cats on the side, then they're not giving you enough food.
Maybe that's just a religious thing.
Some sort of cat sacrifice that they're doing in order to.
Cat religion.
Yeah, maybe. You never know. So, I mean,
All
that's
right, so don't
my
cut
take.
the head off any bald eagles.
Don't eat
Canada
bald eagles.
geese. Those are
Canada
migratory game birds. You can't just choke those up either if you're a U.S. citizen. So
I'm sure none of those guys are really going to get charged with anything.
no, the bald eagle guy is the only one that got charged. Well, I mean, the lady that ate the neighbor's cat, she got put in a cruiser also, but
Yeah.
there's apparently quite a few of those.
It's happening. It happens.
Are you
What gonna
missing any kitty cats?
do? I don't have a
Yeah, we don't have a migrant problem.
I don't have a migrant problem.
Imagine that. Weird.
I don't have a migrant problem.
You guys see the I-75 shooting?
Yeah, so what do you know about that in Kentucky?
Two shooters.
Two shooters now.
Two shooters. They well within this shooting event, they had a picture of the dude that they didn't release. I mean, there's some.
Is this going to be a Parkway shooter, father-son team like in
I don't know.
in D.C. or something?
It seems like they were working. It does kind of seem like they were working independent. So maybe like an original shooter and a copycat.
At the same time, though, simultaneously,
Maybe.
or maybe they just they're in the Roblox
Yeah.
video game and
Maybe.
they
I know they shut down
MK Ultra
schools.
turned them
Yeah,
on.
they
They
shut
shut down
down
schools.
Shut down
All
schools,
coming
freeways.
Just random targets.
Just random.
Was
freeway
anybody
targets.
shot?
I don't.
5 people.
5 people were shot,
Which means he probably shot a bunch of times.
and he's in the wood lines and he's just started shooting at cars.
Yeah, he walked through somebody's front yard with his gun.
Do we know what the gun was?
I don't know. No, I don't know.
And they haven't caught him,
No.
I didn't count him.
but they have
They
photo.
keep raising the reward, and they just keep on putting schools.
Yeah, they know who he is. At least one of them.
You didn't know about this?
Kentucky.
Like 4 days ago?
Yeah, Saturday, Sunday. I could.
It's gonna be some dude that only wants everybody to drive battery cars or some shit like that.
be a white guy.
No, he is a white guy, but no, they're crazy liberal. That's what it's gonna be.
I think so.
Yeah, 100%.
Kamala 24.
or he's just shooting cars with antlers on it or something.
That's what the school shooter had. Kill all maggots on there, all MAGA.
Of course.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's the problem with 4 more years of this party.
Okay, so do you think she's getting in?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Okay, then what? What do you think their first move is?
Their first move is to go after anybody that was opposed to their agenda or their ideas.
To include anybody saying anything negative on social media against them.
Oh, yeah, social media is
camps. You know they have a bunch of camps. Like they built all those COVID
social
camps
media
and
is
got all the
shut
FEMA
down.
camps.
They're not going to do that. They're going to do exactly what they did under the Biden administration. They're just going to go to Zuckerberg. They're just going to go to Elon. They're just going to go to the people who are running these social media things, and they're going to do like France is doing right now. They're just going to start arresting them. They'll put them in fucking jail just like they did the January 6ers. There'll never be a goddamn trial. They'll just all be sitting down there fucking wasting away because they are a fucking communist regime. That's all it is. They're going to use the full letter of the law against law-abiding citizens in order to...
And you think citizens will just sit there for it and go, oh, I hope it's not me? Or do you think something will come of it?
I think people are going to sit there and say, I'm glad it's not me. Yeah. You know, when the Germans were putting people on train cars, everybody knew they were putting them on train cars.
Yeah, you saw.
Everybody knew where they were going. So, you know, the reality is, I mean, you even think about religious institutions that exist to this day. The Catholic Church was culpable of
very much so
the rounding up of Jewish individuals in Germany.
Yeah, who was the president? Who was the president at that time?
That shit happen.
Who was the president of the United States at that time?
Roosevelt.
Was it Roosevelt? Who was prior to Roosevelt?
FDR.
Went over to Germany 24 times.
Oh, I don't know.
Yeah, 24 times.
I don't know.
Went to the camps. IBM, International Business Machine. There was an International Business Machine at every one of the camps. That's how they cataloged us. Those were the first. That was the first computer. That's how they were able to do what they did so rapidly.
Well, the reality is, he tried to ship them away.
Well, he sent them to us.
Yeah,
I mean, we had them come here. We sent them back. We didn't want them. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So he used an AR-15, and he bought it Saturday and did the shooting Saturday night.
Who are we talking
about?
He
bought 1,000 rounds. The I-75 guy.
Interesting.
They haven't
so they caught him
yet, but they do have the rifle. It was left in his Toyota truck at the top of a hill.
Oh, he's in a fucking ravine somewhere. Shot himself in the head.
He did send out a text that day to someone that said, "I'm going to kill a lot of people, then I'll kill myself afterward."
That's a nice way to tie that all up.
Yeah, he did.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
I wonder who the target really was.
Did anybody die? Of those 5 people,
No.
I don't think anybody died. So, yeah, God, total failure.
He was in the Army Reserve from 2013
Total failure.
to 2019 as a 12B combat engineer.
Mm-hmm.
He has no deployments.
Building up stuff or blowing stuff up?
Probably building.
Interesting. What better way to cover if you're going to do something? Maybe he is just a wacko.
They're out there.
I don't know any of them.
You sure? Are you sure you don't know any of them? I mean, I know that some of them have been employed here.
Well, I mean you're usually running from something when you show up in Camden.
I'm sure that there's some W-2s that...
Well, none of ours have become shooters.
Not yet.
Nah.
What about Skinwalker?
Skinwalker? Oh, I don't know where he is.
Oh, yeah.
That's the guy that would get naked when he'd go to the bathroom.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
He lasted, how long did he last? 2 days, 3 days?
He didn't know how to use a lighter either. He didn't know how to light a lighter. Like, legitly did not know. Like, he was looking at it like, he was looking at like a chimp. Like, if you gave a chimp a lighter,
man, I truly,
he was doing it.
When I told him, I go, hey, man, this isn't working out. Here's $1,000 you have to leave. I gave him $1,000. And I'm like, this isn't working out.
That was money well worth spent.
But I felt bad about it. I actually did feel bad about that one.
That was money well worth spent. It was the first time he'd ever been out of his basement.
Maybe. He's probably listening. I mean, he's probably listening now.
No
if you're listening now, I hope that everything is good in your life.
No way he's listening now.
He's listening.
No.
He's always listening.
He knew stuff about me from videos just in passing that, like, it was just bizarre. I'm like, why does he think that?
If you have that straight of a back...
He's not listening.
I hope things are good. I hope you're back at Subway Sandwich Shop.
And even if he is listening, he's like,
I can use a lighter now.
No, he's like, I wonder who they're talking about.
All right, you ready to go do Patreon questions?
Let's do Patreon.
All right, guys. We're going to go over to Patreon. If you're a member of Patreon, you'll be able to see that. And we will see you guys next week.
From the bottom, they tore it down, I rebuilt it. I give myself a task, you can bet your ass I fulfill it. Yeah, man, I'm talking about realest, one of the realest to try. My family.